Kuh.
151 big catch. Was that really a fish? It looked more like a frog that was run over by a car trying to get across the road. I scanned the sea to search for that grotesque fish. Looks like that fish cut open the belly of that stripped fish, since I could see the upper and lower body sinking while leaving behind a blood trail. Pieces of its organs were floating about as the blood spread around the two pieces.
Phew. Phew. Ouch, it was cut open.
I saw it. You didn't have to use telepathy? Also, don't try anything for your own good. Don't try to eat it, and if you move around like that, Nina will get hurt. Although when I think about it, it doesn't really swim around where there are any humans, so I don't really mind them being here. Since I have my scales, it won't be able to break through them easily, but as for the ball rabbit, it will be a slaughter.
Here, I'll catch you here, you fish.
Please watch Mr.
Dragon.
Nina furiously swings the fishing rod and casts the line and bait quite far. Is it alright if I don't stop this? Well, it doesn't look like there's many of them, it should be okay. It will be painful telling her to retreat now. The fish is coming for the bait, please look.
Watch this, please.
I zone out while watching her ears move around with a payako pyoko matching the sea. I wonder how it moves like that. It's actually enjoyable watching. Oh, that's right, that stripped fish, its body was torn in half. It didn't come to eat but to kill. That fish definitely had murderous intent. Actually, I guess some internal organs were in its teeth. Maybe it only eats the organs it likes. Oh, the bait is composed of internal organs. Yeah. Mr. Dragon, it looks like it was hooked. It's pretty heavy.
What should I do?
Garuwa. Pull the pole now. Or it will be too late. Before the ball rabbit could translate, Nina, who was surprised by my voice, pulled the rod with the momentum. A hideous green fish with white bloodshot eyes danced in the air while opening its mouth wide. Jichi! The cactus hook is piercing through under its eye. If it would have been a little more to the side, it would have been able to get out, but instead it was firmly hooked. The rare fish glares at Nina with its vile white eyes. He was chomping his teeth, apparently preparing to kill Nina. I caught the fish. I caught the fish. Girawa. I lift my upper body, making Nina and the ball rabbit let out a short scream as they cling to my back. I swing my claws to pierce the gills of the oncoming fish.
Jijiji.
After it lets out a short scream while slightly chomping its teeth, it stopped moving. Due to difference in rank, experience points could not be obtained. Oh, yeah. So it's treated as a monster after all. I quickly returned to my original position and grabbed the cloth used to wrap the bait with my free hand. I then twist the fish's body to wring it out and place it in the cloth before returning it back to Nina.
This what?
Nina doesn't seem to understand what I just did with the fish, as she's tilting her head in confusion. This girl, I wonder if she never even noticed that the fish was coming after her. I haven't recognized it since everything until now has been fine, but she might be a natural airhead. Well, let's have fun fishing without thinking too much into it. Fortunately, there doesn't seem to be any more grotesque fishes around.
Good.
I forgot to say it, but you should kill a fish you just caught immediately. There's a space around the gill area where there is a heavy flow of blood vessels, so if you either constrict or cut there, it will be an instant death. Nina should be able to this with her nails. If you bring a fish to land alive, it will be painful for it. That's when the fish will start to feel stress and it then becomes hard and tasteless. After hanging it upside down a bit, wash it off with seawater. Oh, was it too long? Ball rabbit, were you able to get all that?
Phew.
When catch fish, immediately kill. Around gill's vital point, cut there is death. If not, it becomes unappetizing. Turn upside down to drain blood, then wash with seawater.
Aye.
That summary was brief. It was narrowed down to only the essential points. Once again, the ball rabbit's obsession with food is amazing. Nina removes the hook from the fish and dangles it upside down to drain the blood, then moves over to the edge of my back to wash it out with seawater. I wonder if we can even eat that weird fish. Should I check if it's poisonous? There could be a swarm of them if I leave it here. Eagle base ranky monster, a fish known for its bulging white eyeballs and strong fangs. Its favorite food is intestines. Due to the fact that it can be used as material for magical tools, it has been overfished and extinction is a concern. Also, it has a habit of being lured by strong magical power, so it is easy to search for if the correct conditions can be prepared. I wouldn't bother searching for this fish. It's good that they are going extinct. Let them be destroyed to the last. I thank those who went out of their way to prepare what they needed to hunt these things. Well, if they are scarce, then it's fine. It's unlikely to appear again. Looking around the area, I can't find any more like it, so I can finally concentrate on fishing. Nina faces the fishing rod towards the ocean again. I hope you can catch something good this time. If possible, I'd like you to catch the same type of fish that the other killed earlier. After an hour we started fishing again. Various bleeding fish were lined up on my back. The intestine-eating gouging bash, the decently sized peacock fish with brilliant scales, a violent two-headed eel. Are they trying to show how much variety they have around here? All the fish I've seen so far have been some kind of nonsensical deviation from the ones in my original world. Counting all the fish we've caught totals close to 30. It was a good result, but I can't help feeling that something about this was different. Amazing, Balchan is amazing. It went for it again.
Pefew.
Tell them to gather.
Then get them as they stay.
Goman.
So all the fish were lured to the lure by the ball rabbit to make it easier to catch. With the exception of that first fish, the eagle bass, the rest she has gotten was nothing but small empty bottles. Nina may be a little clumsy, but aren't you too impatient? All the bait has been taken by the fish. Sometimes the fish hook failed to stick as it is poorly shaped and the fish escaped. Every time she failed, Nina would lower her ears, and she would put bait on the hook half crying. Even I felt sorry from looking at the scene. When I thought that Nina finally caught something, it was another small bottle. Nina was sitting there as if she just had her heart broken. That's when the ball rabbit went and swung the fishing rod to try it out. You idiot, the ball rabbit ended up catching another fish. Nina received the fish from the ball rabbit and went to work on draining the blood and washing it like a clerk. Why did we start fishing again?
Awesome, this is the biggest one today.
Pefew. Pefew.
Well, as long as they are having fun, right? Yeah.
Kuh.
152 meal. Since enough fish were caught, I start floating towards land. This is going to take a while, since I'll be saying farewell to Nina. I might seriously just try crossing the ocean. I would like to see how Nina will fare after leaving her in the port city if possible, preferably before I leave the desert. But I wonder if I'll even have the opportunity. There will be quite the commotion if I were to go near the city. Then the city will become a ghost town instead. I was able to send off the 8 soldiers before without harming them too much, seeing as I could be regarded as a considerable threat to humans. I say I did rather well. I didn't think they were particularly weak. After all, I'm sure they will be missed if I were to kill them. Maybe if I keep one-sidedly beating them they'll leave me alone. After arriving at the beach, I let Nina and the ball rabbit get off. Nina and the ball rabbit then lay out some of the camel's fur and place the fish on there. In the meantime, I dig a hole in the beach and scoop out some seawater by cupping it in my hands and carry it to the hole. Then I make the water evaporate by heating it up with my breath until only salt was left. Salt will be useful in the future. Now to wrap the salt up in some fur to make it easier to carry. Collecting salt is difficult if I stray too far from the sea. The quality of food varies depending on the presence or absence of salt. Actually, I also like pipparis. I guess it's not something that could be found in the desert. It would be nice to have something similar. I wonder if it could only be found in that forest. Well, it can't be helped if I think about it. I grill the fish with a scorching breath and coat them with the salt I made earlier. It's my first time grilling fish in this life when I think about it. I feel like I can eat it raw, but this time I decided to heat it up. As there may be strange parasites, I'll make sure it's safe. Myself and the ball rabbit will be fine, but Nina still has a human stomach. It will be rude to eat something prepared different. I lift the fish by the tail and finish it in one bite. It's delicious. It's nostalgic as the taste has not changed much from the fish in my previous life. Let's give the grotesque fish and whatever's left of the intestines and bait to the ball rabbit. Only that guy will dare to eat such things around here. That weird fish was named eagle bass. I used to shy away from eating the dark worm before, but now, I'm proud to say that I still find it gross. There's a chance that even the ball rabbit won't like it. Since the eyeballs looked like they are about to jump out, yeah, you will be cursed if you eat the eyes. Oh, yeah, when I checked its status before with status check, it had said that it was used as a material for magic tools or something. I could burn it now and be done with it, or keep it as there may be a time when I will need it for something. This fish, although it doesn't look very appealing, it is pretty tasty. When I looked over to Nina, she was eating the eagle bass. I looked over to Nina and the fish 3 times on reflex. Are your senses strange? Maybe since you caught it yourself, are you trying to take responsibility? You don't have to force yourself. Since there is only one of these, Mr. Dragon, do you want half? I've finished my half of my contribution.
This is your half?
Don't force yourself. It seems that some memory corrections were taking place to change the taste. By the way, excluding this fish, the rest of what Nina managed to catch happens to be nothing but bottles. You can't chew on a bottle, so I can't blame her for her eagerness on such a gross fish. I thought of refusing and using the excuse that she went through the trouble just to catch it, especially since the head was the half presented to me. I closely look at the white eyeballs of the eagle base.
Good.
Can I just take the eyes? I feel that there will be after effects if I were to eat the rest. Do you hate me?
Pefew.
Bring it to your mouth, or I will stuff it in there.
Wait. Hey you.
I feel like the ball rabbit has been treating me bad today. What did I do to spoil your mood? Actually wait, I don't want to know what you're thinking, I'm scared just thinking about it. Now please eat Naya.
Come on, please have it.
Nina brings the eagle base closer to my face. Hey.
Just keep it, even the eyeballs. Our eyes met. It's staring at me.
Even though it shouldn't be able to, it's staring at me. Ball rabbit, please tell her.
Have her stop. Is it unpleasant?
Sorry, Nia. Nina hunches over and looks down, while looking at me with an upward glance. Her ears lie flat without strength.
Guh.
I gave up and decided to open my mouth. Nina's face shines and with a epa she sticks the fish head into my mouth. I closed my mouth and I was trying not to think about it. As I was chewing, a gentle sweetness spread throughout my mouth. Although it's hard to imagine based on its appearance, the taste closely resembles that of a crab. It has a gelatin-like texture and it's soft and chewy. It's actually not bad. Luckily its taste does not match its gross appearance. While continuing to chew, 2 spheres flew into my mouth. Right, aren't those the eyeballs? So they finally showed up. I was strongly thinking of vomiting, but I decided to just ignore the thought instead. With all my spirit, I decided to finally swallow. How was it, Mr. Dragon?
Goo.
Honestly, it was delicious. It was delicious, but I feel uneasy about it. No, let's not think about it too much. Ch 153 Tale of a Certain Brave Man 4 Side Story. I went to the basilica early this morning. After a casual talk with the priest, I asked for permission to have Adolfo released. Even though I know exactly what I want and what I should do, it's troublesome when I have to go through so many formal procedures. No matter how idiotic, however, it is something I must do in order to be regarded as part of the upper layers. There are many knights, but all of that is due to the upper echelons enlisting men with the incentive to provide for their families. All only to waste them gathering resources to keep up their extravagant lifestyles. Adolfo, who was dissatisfied with the present situation, is now a prisoner who will not change his mind on the matter. I didn't realize how much more easily I could move when a crisis actually approaches. Even though this country was made because I put all on the line, to think those hyenas grew fat off my leftovers. Those parasitic bastards. This is truly a garbage country. Just how many times have I thought about releasing monsters within the walls? It will be a refreshing scene for sure. The cry of the knights' mothers crying for their children to escape while the knights are being exposed for their stupidity. It wouldn't be bad for my image if I was to show up halfway through and win. They should be crushed by that time though. After all, there will be no way to figure out that I was the criminal, especially if it was a monster that goes unidentified. I guess it's only common sense that if you use monsters to kill the echelons of the church, then the church can't go against you. But for now I'm moving about early in the morning. To hide under the cover of dawn and leave Harini before the sun climbs with the task to have Adolfo handle the evil plague dragon. For the time being, the matter was announced to the people by the church, but it seems that the response wasn't as great as expected. Originally the departure was to be set up to show off to the citizens, but this time we are operating without that to avoid any unnecessary troubles, and then later report the results in a grand manner. Everyone is dissatisfied with the thought of having Adolfo, who is suspected of murder, going free. The reason why the criticism of this case exceeds the church's expectation is because I have prevailed in spreading disadvantageous rumors about Adolfo to the country. When I think of how the priest who receives this report will hold their head in worry satisfies me. Although it's not fun to have so many restrictions on how I behave, this amount is still acceptable. I used former bums who owed me a favor for showing a little kindness, to spread the rumors about here and there, since there's no need to worry since they can't even be tracked and easily disposed. They weren't promised any position or money, but since they're idiots it was only necessary to use legal terms for them to cooperate. When it seems that they are becoming inconvenient or showing signs of betrayal, it is advantageous to be able to easily dispose of them with little preparation. Even if I kill such a man, no one will complain or even try to find the culprit. Adolfo is taken out of the prison and 2 people, dressed in cloaks, walk around the city hiding their faces. Truly, I am sorry, Irussia. I heard that even for you, this time was considerably difficult to recommend something. Adolfo? I hear Adolfo seriously saying this, and it becomes difficult to hold in my laughter. The thought itself is foolish, but nothing can be done about someone who is foolish. No, me doing this is natural. If you still want to thank me, then do so after the false incident has been resolved and your fiancé's and younger brother's enemy gets taken away. There are those who doubt there was such a person so early in the morning, but it is better to be thorough. Irussia. I pretend to pay attention to the surroundings as I divert my face from Adolfo to hide my smiling face. I began to feel the presence of people as we approached a residential district. Adolfo also seems to have noticed as he knits his face and stops his feet. Should we change our course? Adolfo? It looks like every direction is similar. Seems someone in the church has leaked out info to harass us this morning. Especially since there's no monolith at our destination. Irussia. I couldn't hold it in, I covered my face with the palm of my hand. Although it's shameless, it couldn't be helped. It's better than showing my smiling face after all. Of course, it was me who leaked out the time, date, circumstances and route. Although there was also the harassment of Adolfo and priests, the main purpose was to clarify my position on the matter as seen by the general public. 3 young men ran up and pointed at Adolfo as they cried out in a loud voice. Oh, look, it's the family killer Adolfo. Young man 1. Even if you try to escape, in front of the brave hero, it can't be done. Young man 2. As soon as the men's voices are heard, a crowd begins to form. It was likely that they prepared to meet us beforehand. People who were sleeping also heard the commotion and went out their houses. After noticing it, Adolfo is frozen in embarrassment while being surrounded. Obediently receive your death sentence. Someone throws a stone. Adolfo saw it, but it seems he intends to stand his ground as he doesn't try to avoid it. Wouldn't the crowd just find this convenient? Well, it's only around this neighborhood after all. I should control this situation before it gets out of hand. I step forward and holding my sword, I parry the stone with my sheath. It seems extreme rumors have spread around, so I will try to clear some up here and now. Don't worry about the church, since I am here I will excuse you from them for the time being. Irussia. I speak to Adolfo in a low voice and turn forward as I go along. I am sure you are all questioning why I chose the former Knight Chief as my companion. It was because I decided that he was a qualified person in view of the circumstances. Although he was only the Knight Chief for a short term, he was also my master at one point. Some personal feelings may have been involved in the decision, but let it be known that I do not plan on being enticed by anyone. I also believe that the killing done by the Knight Chief was a false charge. In return for Knight Adolfo's assistance in the subjugation mission, only a simple re-examination of the case was requested. I assure you that there is nothing more to it than that. I stake it in my name as a brave man. If there is any trouble with Adolfo during the course of this release period, I will take full responsibility for it. So please let us through. Irussia. I quietly bow my head. An awkward air floats about the vicinity, and a path slowly opens one person at a time. Shall we go? Before we are again surrounded, Irussia. I say with a low voice, and lead Adolfo through the open path as Adolfo is still in confusion. Truly, I am really sorry. Adolfo. After getting out the highly crowded road, Adolfo bites his lips to the point drops of blood begin spilling. While jeering at such an Adolfo in my mind, I rush ahead. My position has been solidified with this. Although I did deny Adolfo's wrongdoings, with this everyone would think that I was only dealing with Adolfo's deceit. Oh, and it goes without saying that I was never intending to take responsibility in the first place. The church that is attached with fear will defend me, who is the symbol of this country. Nobody will purposely make a ruckus to the public lest they are ready to suffer the consequences. In the first place, as long as the church has given permission, whatever happens, it was all part of the plan. More than anything, under the law of Harini, punishment for criminals who have escaped falls on close relatives. Besides, I still need to make an example out of him since I'm currently filled with the sweet sparks of emotion lingering about. Though I might receive voices of criticism, it will only take effect if my virtue suddenly gets flipped. Unless that happens, I don't need to worry. Since Mr. Skillful was passed as my original idealism, my motto as a brave man, let's be content for the time being.
Kuh.
154 if today is the last.
Guh.
While I'm loudly yawning, the ball rabbit appears out of the sand.
Phew.
After sleepily rubbing its eyes with its ears, the ball rabbit then covers its mouth for a yawn. Those ears are really dexterous. By chance is that not an ear but an arm? It could even wield a sword if it wanted to. The time for sleeping is over. I still have to walk over to the port city. Although Nina has been saying that the port city was pretty close, I have yet to see it in the distance. Since I don't want to run out of time, I want to at least confirm the distance to it. I wonder if I should just fly over and see if I could spot it. By the way, Nina is currently inside the ball rabbit's mouth. We came to a conclusion that this was the safest way to sleep. It would be a real tragedy were I to accidentally swallow while sleeping. Also, I'm unclean. It doesn't bother me one bit, yeah? No, really. Thanks to the ball rabbit's skill, internal storage, the saliva doesn't get in the way even if you place Nina inside. There may be a little drool, but it's not much. Apparently there is another dimension inside the ball rabbit's stomach that acts more like a warehouse. The ball rabbit said itself that there doesn't seem to be anything in there. By the way, Nina had said that it was a warm and relaxing. The ball rabbit is seriously capable. You are better suited for humans than in deserts full of monsters, I'm jealous. Peep-oo. Nina appears from the ball rabbit's mouth. The ball rabbit grabs Nina with its ears and gently places her on the desert floor. Nina bathes in the light for a bit and slowly wakes up. Being half asleep as she gets up, the ball rabbit supports her with its ears.
Oh, thanks, Ball-chan.
Nina caresses the ball rabbit's head. These two became really good friends. But it's different when it comes to another person.
Guru.
Nina, where is the port city?
How long do we have until we get there? There isn't a reply. Why, what's wrong?
Phew. The ball rabbit closes its eyes after spitting out a big sigh. Since she didn't answer, was it still trying to translate for me? It always translates my thoughts, so maybe I have grown accustomed to the ball rabbit doing it all the time. Hey, ball rabbit, translate it for me. Are you still sleepy?
Phew.
Stomach ache, still sleepy. It had eaten more than usual yesterday. It may be good to reduce its intake from now on. If it continues to eat as much as it wants like it is now, I feel that it would become completely useless in the wild on its own.
Phew. Phew. Wake up. Wake up.
Translation starting.
Ooh.
It doesn't want its meal reduced.
Phew.
City, how far to get there? If we leave early, I think we should be able to see it by today. Going by memory, that large skull over there means we are quite close. Looking at the place Nina is pointing to, there is something like a dinosaur skull buried there. Perhaps it is that of a dragon's. I can't imagine dinosaurs walking along this desert. Its size is about equal to mine. I don't want to think that monsters of the same kind as that skull are wandering around in this desert. It's pretty old and it has almost assimilated with the sand, so I'm just going to think that there aren't any like this wandering around. About all I could do against the huge centipede and the ants is run, so I ask that no more strange monsters come out. Well then, by today is it? Instead of walking, I could reach the port city right away if I were to use roll at full power. Should things go sour, that's the least I could do for Nina. Also, Spirit Relief has become LV7, so it should be easier to obtain white magic later. I plan on practicing rest in the near future. There is also the ball rabbit who could already use it. Should I have all of us, including Nina, practice? If recovery magic could be used, Nina's situation in the city may change. I don't know if I could master it in a day, but I've managed to succeed even a little when I was smaller. It may be that weak magic is easier to remember since it isn't really recognized as a skill. Although, it is useful in life as it can cure small wounds.
Garua.
I should do something about it right away. Ball rabbit, teach recovery magic to me and Nina.
Phew?
Nina as well?
Go.
Yeah, I think it would be convenient to remember recovery magic before Nina gets to the port town. It may make her treatment there a little better, and I also wish to learn it. The ball rabbit reads my thoughts and turns to Nina.
Pefyu.
Before end, good to learn white magic.
But
why does it feel like it didn't come across as well as I had hoped?
I thought it was a good idea.
I guess it's not that easy to memorize such a thing. If it was that easy to learn rest, then everyone would have acquired it. I don't have that much knowledge on the subject, so there might even be a difference in the way we learn. It's apparent now, I'm limited in knowledge. I only mainly have knowledge pertaining to a different world, but I don't have much knowledge of this world. I may supplement it with status check, but ordinary people of this world won't have something like status check. I did not see it in Milia or anyone else for that matter. With this development, I feel that the ability to learn skills is a lot better between me and the residents of this world. Perhaps I said something strange?
And I, Nina, but...
Her voice is blurred and it gets smaller. I can even see that she may start to cry.
What?
Does she maybe have a bad memory of recovery magic?
Pefyu.
The ball rabbit mumbles as it matches its face to Nina's. Didn't you use a telepathy to tell her? Or did it just not get through? Listening to the ball rabbit's voice, Nina tightens her lips as if she just made a firm decision.
I look forward to working with you.
Nina quickly lowered her head to me.
What? I don't really know what you're expecting of me.
There may have been some kind of misunderstanding considering the flow of the conversation just now. I only wish for the both of us to learn rest from the ball rabbit. CH 155 Acquiring white magic. A vulture is placed in front of me and Nina. Both are barely 1 meter in length and have ferocious-looking nails. The eyes are big considering it's from a bird, and it makes it quite creepy when it squints. There is no danger, however, as it has a serious injury and should not be able to move properly. Both wings are also bound by fur. Both were caught a little while ago with the Kemaitashia. I had thought that something strange was watching me from above, so when I looked up, the ball rabbit signaled me to act and I let it rush without fail. Both had a wound near the base of the wing. Harini Condor, rank E monster, condor that is only found in the desert of Harini, powerless but cunning. Attention to its actions is required as it is known to rob baggage and fly away with it. The eggs are laid all over and left on their own. Once the children hatch, they hunt as a couple. The children from the same nest become a couple and hunt together like that. What percentage of them could actually reach adulthood from such a breeding method in this desert? They will perish one day. So that's why their habitat will never spread beyond Harini. Child abandonment would be a problem no matter what world you're in. The bird is much smaller than me, however. I also don't think it is well enough to take off with the ball rabbit beside me. Especially since its focus is mainly directed towards catching corpses. I've heard somewhere that the bald head on vultures is used to prevent the spread of fungus on its hair when it's eating. No, wasn't that defunct with the thermoregulation theory? I guess I really shouldn't care about these kinds of things anyway. Anyway, the purpose of these birds in front of me and Nina is for the sake of practice on using rest. The last time I had learned rest for a brief amount of time was when I used it on Miria. I wonder if that was due to the decent image I had in my head of curing wounds. No matter how much I think of it though, I can't see myself learning anything by just praying rest with nothing in front of me. It was also decided that I would not injure myself, so in the end the captured vultures would be our practice partners. It's a bit cruel, but it can't be helped. I check the status of the vulture placed in front of me. Race, Harini Condor. State, bloodshed? LV, 8/15. HP, 5/24. MEP, 12/16. Next, to check the one in front of Nina. Race, Harini Condor. State, bloodshed? LV, 7/15. HP, 5/20. MEP, 8/20. They both only have 5 HP? That makes it easier then, I guess.
Pefyu.
For treatment of light wounds, clear mind. Necessary to stay focused. Listening to the teacher, Mr. Ball Rabbit, I adjust my focus back onto the vulture's wound.
It should be fine.
I was able to do it once before, so if I remember the same feeling as back then I should be able to do it. If I'm able to learn rest, then it may affect something in my next evolution. Sina's recovery magic is not suitable for evil dragons. I should avoid any paths that may lead to a Jabberwock. When I saw the description a while back after looking over status explanations, it is pretty much a walking catastrophe. Just by walking around you'll build a mountain of corpses. I absolutely don't want such a thing. I'm B rank right now, so it wouldn't be strange if it popped out again. If by the time my evolution came and that was the only choice, let's just say I'll be in quite the funny situation. I need to work my best to collect good titles.
G.
I concentrate on remembering the feeling of using rest and give a little shout. Although the vulture's wound slightly shines, blood continued to flow. I checked the vulture's status and it actually went up to 6 HP now. It only changed by 1. When I think about it, back when I was a baby dragon it only restored by 3 in an hour. Does this have anything to do with me being a dragon? I still have plenty of MP left. Recalling as I did the first time, I once again used rest. That time I was desperately trying to use rest on Miria, who was collapsed on my back in the forest. I closed my eyes and pictured myself as a baby dragon again. After opening my eyes, I superimposed Miria on the condor.
Pihia. Pihaya wahia.
With bulging eyes the vulture cries out while wiggling around in its bonds. As I thought, it's impossible to think that this crying angry bird is Miria. But by concentrating on the old days, I feel as if I grasped the feeling even if only a little.
Gua.
I once again use rest. Although the one in front of me is a crying vulture, if I deceive myself and think otherwise, marking it as a dying child. Suddenly, light started to soak into the vulture's body. Blood stops flowing out of the vulture's wound and is soon blocked off.
Pihia?
The vulture stops struggling. Oh, hey, are you dying on me? Race, Harini Condor.
Stat normal.
LV 8/15. HP 16/24.
Mepe 2/16.
Alright. The bloodshed was cured and its HP recovered by 10 just like that. Normal skill rest, LV1 obtained. It has been recognized as a skill. It's my first magic skill. I want to raise its level quickly somehow. Title skill Spirit Relief raised from LV7 to 8. Finally, I got it up to LV8. Spirit Relief makes it easier to master rest, so I guess it's thanks to Spirit Relief being a high level that I managed to learn rest, and rest makes it easier to level up a Spirit Relief. It's quite the loop. Perhaps with this a Holy Dragon route will pop up. A good and strong evolution choice is sure to come out next time. When I looked over to my side, Nina looked at me with a smile. For the time being, the hemorrhaging seems to have calmed down. The ball rabbit who was guiding us at the side is also looking at me with a proud face. As I now have a magic teacher, polishing my skill will be fast. Why don't I take a quick look at the vulture's status? Race, Harini Condor. State, bloodshed? LV 7/15. HP, 220 seconds.
Mepe 8/20.
It's about to die. The reason its blood flow has settled is because it's almost out of it. If you look carefully, the vulture's complexion is getting worse. I could easily tell due to its lack of hair. It's opening and closing its beak and a gloomy cry is coming out. It is defiantly headed for death. The ball rabbit is looking over the vultures in satisfaction. I don't know what I should say. I know it's useless for them to know, as they don't have the ability to check the status. Since I was already able to learn rest, it would be better to focus on Nina's teaching. They'll let the ball rabbit know the status of the vulture. 156 dragon scales. How is it, Naya? Nina asks me, seemingly out of breath. When I heard it I looked away from Nina and back to the vulture. Race, Harini Condor. State bloodshed small. LV7/15. HP 720 seconds.
Mepe 8/20.
Oh, she was finally able to restore 4 HP with rest on the vulture. Even though it had been 1 or 2 just a short time ago, this is a great achievement. Most of the symptoms of bloodshed have also been alleviated. Although it may not be very useful during battle, it should at least be possible to cure minor injuries.
Gua. Pefew.
Progress made to lesson wound. I did it. Nina was able to learn magic. Nina falls flat down. The ball rabbit leaped forward and caught Nina. Seems she was tired since her MP was almost drained. So it's up to here? Although it's only enough to cure minor injuries, there may be some use for it in Port City. If we keep practicing from now on, I'm sure it will grow. I undid the bindings on the vultures and released them. I felt guilty letting it go like this, but it wasn't meant to be a meal in the first place.
Pihia? Pihia?
Pihia Payaya.
Pai Pihia.
The two vultures faced each other and cried out. Seems like they came to the conclusion that they could escape and did so. The two flew into the sky and ran away while flapping their wings. The ball rabbit looked up at the birds a little regretfully.
Hinya.
Nina groans in pain as she is resting on the ball rabbit. When I heard it I had a bad feeling. I hope this is just because she exhausted her mana. Nina weakly raises her arm and uses her palm to cover her mouth.
Kiho kiho.
A cough appeared. This was still good. A cough should be the initial symptom of a disease. Like this, the status abnormality won't appear as well. If it starts getting worse, I could use roll to move quickly. Or at least it was supposed to be. Nina's hands had red splashes on them.
It's blood.
Nina looks at the palm of her hand and slowly turns her face towards me. Sorry, this is... Before she could say it, her eyes closed. The weight of the symptoms is clearly different from that of the ball rabbits. In the early stages you won't get worse at the initial stage of coughing. But is it different depending on monster or humans? I quickly check Nina's status.
Nina Nifa.
Race, Felis Huma.
State, Curse Small.
LV, 8/60. HP, 19/27.
Mepe, 5/12/4.
Looks like she already has an abnormal state.
Why?
Is it because she doesn't have much MP her curse resistance dropped? Or is it because the ball rabbit's curse resistance was originally stronger? Was it a mistake to think that the conditions would be the same for everyone? Damn, this was a blunder. Certainly there were some signs if I think about it. Sometimes she would unnecessarily say sorry, or I sometimes look to see her have a strange face. In the first place, the grace period is abnormally long. I had thought that dragon scales may have had little effect or that Nina's tolerance was strong. I was thinking of how easygoing we were, but that wasn't the case. Nina had been hiding her initial symptoms all this time. She acted so as not to rouse suspicion of her worsening condition as much as possible and probably muzzled her coughs. Maybe because she knew that I would take her to the city as soon as I saw her showing any signs of sickness. Nina was certainly not prepared to go to that city yet. If it's like this, there is a little I'm having trouble understanding. I thought that dragon scales only took effect after a certain amount of days before it begins to take effect, so Nina shouldn't have had to hide before then. There's also the fact that the highly perceptive ball rabbit did not notice Nina was hiding her symptoms. I turned my eyes to the ball rabbit. The ball rabbit awkwardly looked away. Ball rabbit, you told Nina about dragon scales before me. I knew that when you were using telepathy, without me telling you too, was related to the progress of the disease symptoms. I am.
Sozi.
The ball rabbit shrinks in size as if trying to hide. What were you thinking? If we don't make it in time, Nina will die. Well, there's no use being angry right now. I guess it was like this since Nina had asked it too. It's out of line to place the blame on the ball rabbit. Since it's already like this, I must use roll and send Nina to the port city as soon as possible. Exist. Huh? What is a ball rabbit? What was she trying to say? Port city. Does not exist. To keep going farther and farther, a distant land was used. The city is in another direction.
What does this mean?
Nina planned to pass away. Out here. It couldn't be helped no matter where she went. Although there was a limit, she liked being together, that's why. Tell me that in the first place instead of lying.
Goo!
When I roared, the ball rabbit shuddered and folded its ears down further. You should have at least told me. Even if I was told, would I be able to do anything? I don't know anything at all about Nina's circumstances and how she's lived. I don't know what it was like to be a slave in Harini. When I had said that I could only take Nina to a village, it must have been cruel in Nina's perspective. But I couldn't prepare any other options. If I were human, I could have done something else, but I'm a dragon.
Goo!
Nina, of course, was going to say that the port city was closer as her symptoms worsened. It was obvious that I would panic and head to town as fast as I could. All the while she quietly intended to die in the desert. I wonder if I will be able to make it back to Harini if I keep rolling at full power. There may be hope, as it is completely unknown just how long the symptoms have progressed after appearing as a status abnormality. Though, I am only relying on uncertainties. I guess it is about time to consult Laplace after all this time. I did not want to use it as much as possible since I was uncertain on its effective range of events or whether it could even be trusted. It does seem dangerous, but I suppose now's as good a time as ever. I don't think that Nina wants to go to Harini or any place with people in the first place, however.
I wonder what I should do. Kuh. Nina.
I grab a cactus and return to the beach. I laid Nina down on the seashore to rest and make the ball rabbit stand guard. The sand in the desert is hot and not suited for an ill person to lie on. I have to keep her hydrated for now. Just standing up takes strength away in the heat of the desert. Without water, the condition will only deteriorate further. The ball rabbit receives the cactus from me, squeezes it, schemes the contents, and pours the liquid between Nina's lips skillfully. The color in Nina's face seems to have worsened since I got the cactus. But if that's the case, it's progressing too fast, so it may just be in my head. There isn't any time to worry, but I'm not sure what to do now. Would it be better to hope for a miracle and stumble upon a city, or to head back to Harini? I understand that I need to act quickly, but I can't bring myself to choose. Is it better to let her die quietly like she wanted? I shouldn't even consider this. I shake my head, dismissing the thought from my head. I glared at the ball rabbit. If I had gone to Harini, Nina wouldn't be dying now. Even though I knew that the ball rabbit was acting on Nina's feelings, I still couldn't stop these feelings. The ball rabbit notices my look and looks up quietly.
Phew.
Ball rabbit lets out a sad cry. Telepathy doesn't have to be used. The ball rabbit probably heard Nina's story beforehand. The ball rabbit is a monster, but it is quite wise. It wouldn't let Nina die without a reason. Was Nina's past so dreadful that she had lost all faith in others? She must have known a kind person wherever she was before, and surely one exists in Harini. Wasn't it possible to have hoped for that? Nina's eyelid opens weakly. She lifts her neck and moves her eyes a little. They stop on my form and she moves her stiffened lips to speak. Nina's sorry, Naya, Mr.
Dragon?
She says in a low murmur. Nina has never known such kindness till now. So if possible, if even a little, she would like to stay with Mr. Dragon as long as possible. It is Nina's own selfishness. It was Nina who wanted to stay, so please, don't blame Ball Rabbit. Nina closes her lips and coughs again. After the cough stops, she speaks again. Nina's sorry, she's betrayed the trust of Mr. Dragon, but please don't think it was a waste. I hear you and I understand. The Ball Rabbit probably wondered, if I knew Nina was going to die, would I even help her at all? Telepathy is a skill that allows one to communicate your thoughts to others and to read strong ones. Sometimes, thoughts can slip out and be picked up by the Ball Rabbit unintentionally. And surely, the Ball Rabbit had told Nina about this one. And so they decided to keep it from me. Traveling with Mr. Dragon. Nina got to ride on him and see the scenery. She was taught fishing. At first, Nina was a little scared, but Mr. Dragon was always taking care of her even though they had just met. Nina realized he was just a gentle person. Nina wondered why he would do this and wondered why he would teach her these things, then she realized it was for her benefit. She felt bad for this, but more than that, Nina felt happy. I found tears rolling down my face. I was happy she felt this way, even though she was put in this situation. It was the first time since I had become a dragon that I could think this. To separate like this. Nina is sorry, Naya. She wants to truly thank you. She's been able to smile since she met you. Even now she wants to smile as she says goodbye.
What should I do?
When I check Nina's status again, I confirm that curse small has changed into curse. Once it reflects in the status, then the onset will only get worse. I had tried to put some distance between us when I was searching for a cactus earlier, but it seems it wasn't enough. I think soon it would be better for me to leave. Isn't it quite painful to die of a disease? To be left in the desert to die while being surrounded by monsters. Rather than suffering with my claw.
Go.
I look at the Ball Rabbit and growl in a low voice. I want the Ball Rabbit to ask Nina what I should do. Nina began to talk simultaneously with the Ball Rabbit, who had turned to face Nina. Telepathy wasn't used, but somehow it understood what I had wanted to say. There are many things Nina wanted to say while she was still healthy, but would Mr. Dragon stay with Nina till the end? All I could do was nod slowly. I gently stroked Nina's back with my tail. Thank you very much, Mr. Dragon? Nina says so and laughs weakly. Nina and the Ball Rabbit. Alone with the two, we only gazed at each other. Although Nina was in pain, her eyes weren't completely shut. I don't know what to talk about, isn't there anything I could do? Such thoughts raced through my head, but I couldn't come up with anything. Suddenly some signs appeared from afar. present sense is strongly responding. Shortly after my sense picks it up, I can hear the sound of a horse's footsteps.
Kuh.
158 Adofu errands. A horse's footsteps? Who's coming? If you are a good person, perhaps you may be able to take Nina away. It may go against Nina's wishes, but I still don't want Nina to die. There was a large man on top of the horse in the distant sands. His full beard made him seem older, but he had to be somewhere in his 20s or 30s. He lacks a turban, but he shares a breastplate with the soldier I fought before. Did he receive a report about me from him? Although it's only one person this time, he appears different from the previous guys. He seems stronger.
Ian.
Tien, insert horse noise here? Ian, horse noise inserted, maybe. The horse raises a cry when it sees me and breaks into a sprint. I guess I'll check the stats for now. Adofu errands. Tribe, Earthhuma. State, the seal of the prisoner. LV, 48/85. HP, 262/316. Mepe, 72 opt. ATK, 243 plus 32. Def, 262 plus 24. Mana, 121. Speed, 172. Equipped. Hand, Harini soldier's large sword, C+. Body, Harini soldier breastplate, C. Characteristic skills. Girisha language, LV6 swordsman, LV7. Resistant skills. Physical resistance, LV5 magic resistance, LV4 venom resistance, LV1. Slashing resistance, LV6 fall resistance, LV1 paralysis resistance, LV2. Normal skills. Shockwave, LV5 clay, LV2 decoy, LV5. Large cleave, LV4 spirit unification, LV6 armor expert, LV2. Title skills. Former knight chief, LV is sword king, LV7. Powerful, LV6. This guy? He's a lot stronger than the previous soldiers. I thought he just had more experience due to the beard. Are you really human? It would be dangerous if I received an attack from a guy with stats like that and equipment to boot. I have to neutralize him with minimal damage and see if he can help Nina. This large man, Adofu, was coming straight at me. First off, let's try using telepathy. It would be convenient if he stopped just with that, but... Guru. I turned and barked at the ball rabbit, moving away from Nina. Pefyu. Hold on. Want to talk? When trying to talk with telepathy, the horse carrying Adofu increased its speed. Adofu raised a sword that was almost the size of himself with a single hand and, glaring at me, slashed at the sky twice. No use. I don't have the leisure of doing this gently. If I don't do this right, the ball rabbit may get hurt instead. First of all, let's start with decreasing the risks. Pifu? I move the ball rabbit with my tail and fly to the side of Nina. I was a little rough, but I didn't have much of a choice. If I delayed, the ball rabbit could be in danger. To stop Adofu head-on, I make myself seem larger. I fire off 3 kimaitashi aiming for the horse. The first went to the left, the second drifted and slammed to the right, and the third was aimed at where he would avoid the second. I am much faster than him. If I separate him from his horse, I should be able to beat him quite easily. Hiya! Adofu shouts as he pulls on the reins and directs the horse to avoid the first and second. All according to plan. The third lands at the base of the horse. Adofu hurled a sheath at the third kimaitashi and adjusted the movement slightly. It fell off to the side where the second one was fired and was avoided easily. Even though there wasn't a choice, he still reacted quite quickly and without hesitation. If he was a little off, I might have accidentally killed the horse when it was falling, but he didn't even flinch. It's as if he's been through these situations countless times. Although I know I'm facing a human, it's more like I'm facing a monster. He thinks and moves accordingly. If it was any other, they should have taken some damage by now. Adofu, who disregarded the kimaitashi, closes the gap quickly. It's to be expected of someone I failed to drag from the horse. Although with that kind of speed, it will be hard to counter any moves that aren't in a straight line. I raise my left arm up and hold it at the ready. I will grab Adofu with my left hand, while swiping the horse with the right. Looking at my stance, Adofu raises his big sword to his side. Is he challenging me with a charge? If my arm receives the sword, Adofu and the horse will surely be separated if their movements are stopped. Damage is likely to be taken, but if all goes well, the battle will end there. I'm sure if I send them flying then he will stop resisting. Raich. Adolfo lines up his sword ready to strike. I turn my left hand to guard quickly and stretch my right hand to Adolfo. Adolfo's eyes move from my left hand to the right. He seemed to have noticed what's happening here and his voice leaked out. But it's too late. Neither the horse's power nor the arm which was wielding the sword can stop now. The sword of Adolfo arced around and hit like a train. The big sword hits my left arm. It deals about the amount of damage I expected. Adolfo was hitting me with the broadside of the sword, not the blade. He pulled the reins back at the same time the sword connected and flew onto his back from the force of the hit on me. I stretched out a claw on my right hand over towards the nose of the horse. The horse immediately reverses its body after landing and starts running in the opposite direction of me. After taking some distance, it looked back at me. What's more, it's repositioning itself. Since the straight swing changed trajectories causing the sword to arch backwards, it allowed him to move with it. This is a feat which couldn't be done unless both the horse and the man were synchronized. It seems that Adolfo pushed himself a little hard as he used his arm to wipe the sweat from his brow. No way, I didn't think there were any humans capable of such a feat. This thought floated about in my head, he must surely be a monster.
Kuh.
159 one-on-one fight on the beach. Adolfo charges at me once again. What should I do? A feint won't work anymore. The only reason it worked just now was because he was under the assumption that a dragon wouldn't be able to throw a feint. So that has already been ousted from the beginning. After just using it, it is wise to wait a while until the idea of it has subsided through the heat of battle. It will be difficult to inflict minimal damage on Adolfo if we clash head-on like this. It would be easier to proceed with my one-sided negotiations, however. I don't want to settle this in a manner which would leave a bad impression, though. If this goes on longer, then even if I ask him something, no, it wouldn't even be possible. I want to avoid hitting him from the front as much as possible, but a feint is useless now. I have to think of a way to break through an opening. This man Adolfo, not only are his stats high but his mental fortitude also seems quite strong. I guess it is better to aim for his partner. It will be easier to take out the horse first. I breathe in and lower my head and align my eyes with the horse's.
Garawea.
The sand was riled up a little with my roar as some of it flew up with the wind. The horse which Adolfo is riding on was scared with my roar as its body began to tremble. It seems the little sandstorm also played a part in the performance. For just a moment, the horse's speed dulled while heading towards me.
This should be enough.
With such a man, I can't cut corners. It will hurt a little, but please forgive me.
Garua.
When I hold up my arm, Adolfo pulls the reins sideways. Adolfo keeps his sights on me as he's holding the reins and sword on the other hand. My expression tightened up, seems my emotions leaked out. Adolfo began to release his murderous intent, probably after seeing my expression just now, he realized the desperate situation he was in. If things went as planned, then I managed to make him hesitate for a few seconds. Although his stance shows that he's more than willing to fight, it looks a bit unnatural. In the first place, there isn't much room left for a counter with his current position. At most he will only be able to guard with that large sword. I swipe my arm across the side and hit the horse in front of me. It will be advantageous if I take his mobility away. The moment my arm hit the horse, Adolfo released his hand from the reins and stood on the horse's back.
Jihin.
The horse I just hit collapses and rolls away while wailing. Adolfo kicked off the horse and jumped up and landed on my right shoulder. Not good, he's by my head. I predict the trajectory of the sword that is about to come and face towards my right shoulder with my mouth agape. Feeling that the sword touched my tooth, I immediately bite down and succeeded in grasping Adolfo's large sword with my mouth. I jerk my head to the left. The large sword is pulled out of Adolfo's hand and thrown into the air. The large sword stabbed into the ground, scattering the sand around. Adolfo, who just had the sword pulled from him, loses his balance and falls off my shoulder towards my front. This guy is stronger than I thought. It seems going at him softly will be ineffective. It will be necessary to administer some heavy damage. I can still negotiate if I use rest on him. Although our relationship will be a little awkward at that point, it can't be helped. As long as we keep fighting like this, without exerting power, it will only continue on. I aim at Adolfo, who is falling, with my hand on top and smash straight down. Making sure to use my palm and not my claws. I'm sure he won't die from this. Adolfo rolled himself up in the air, flipping himself and kicking my palm. He was able to gain momentum with that as he quickly lands on the ground and rolls away while my hand smashes to the ground. Why are you so persistent? However, I at least was able to take both his horse and sword. He lacks proper mobility and reachable offensive power now. The situation is better than before. Adolfo gets up and we glare at each other. Since it's come to this point, now is the time to suppress him. When I move my shoulder, Adolfo bends his knee. "St, stop it please. Mr. Dragon, Mr. Dragon." I hear Nina's voice from behind. After hearing it, Adolfo's eyes move from me to Nina. It seems that since Nina was lying in a shallow part of the beach far from here, Adolfo had failed to notice. A person? Why are they here? It might be possible to negotiate now. I back up a few steps and give up my favorable position. Adolfo seemed to understand what he overlooked before, as some of the tense air slightly dissipates. Adolfo confirms the position of his large sword and quickly returns his line of sight to Nina behind me.
"Hey, that woman there. Are you all right?"
Mr. Dragon is protecting Nina Naya." When Nina shouted that, Adolfo's eyes rounded and gazed at me. Thinking that it was safe now, the ball rabbit runs up to my feet while dragging its ears. Pefu. Moment, want to talk? Run to say. Adolfo was surprised when the ball rabbit appeared. The sight of the ball rabbit lining up next to a dragon rather than running away might have been strange. It seems he was at a loss for a moment but quickly returned to his normal facial expression. Adolfo looks at the ball rabbit and Nina as he opened his mouth. "I understand. I surrender. Now, let me hear your story. Also, I should tell you that I have a companion." Adolfo raises both of his hands, showing that he no longer has any intention to fight. All right, it went well. This man seems reasonable compared to the previous soldiers. Perhaps I can also have him take Nina. Since I don't know how it works with slaves, this may come out as threatening instead of negotiating. I am counting on the other's sense of values in this case. As the ball rabbit is translating, my speech nuances might shift, so it's best to be careful not to talk much about that. "I rush ya, sorry, but there's been a change of schedule. Lower your sword and come out, I'd like to talk to this dragon for a while." Adolfo looks behind me and speaks out. "Huh? I rush ya? Why does this person know my name?" "Kuh. 160 brave. Adolfo, did you say I rush ya just now? Can you see my status as well? In addition to me, I had only met one other that could use this skill. That strange slime in the woods. He was talking about his skills. I'm sure he could see the statuses. Since someone else also had the ability, it would make sense that there could be others. But Adolfo shouldn't have this skill. In any case, why would he say my name in this situation? Usually, the words Adolfo said would be directed towards someone who was hiding. After thinking this far, I turned my eyes following Adolfo's line of sight behind me. Nobody's there. There's only Nina at the shoal by the sea a little off from where Adolfo's eyes are directed. Nina is squatting down in place while heavily breathing, probably tired from standing because of the disease. She's looking at me worryingly. I try looking around with present sense. Although it's weak, I feel some magic in the sky. Is there something there? I raise my eyes and look up. Did you not hear? It's a ceasefire. The moment Adolfo said so, the space where I was looking shook and a man appeared. The man was straddling a white horse with wings growing out of it and held a sword in his hand. You turned our efforts meaningless, Adolfo. After going through so much trouble to gather its attention, why did you purposefully expose me? I was going to engage it after you gave me the opening and let you retreat. Apparently Adolfo was to keep my attention to the front while that guy sneaked from behind to wait for a gap to strike. He was able to disappear, and I hardly felt any magic presence. He probably possessed a special skill. The man has pale white skin and thin golden hair tied in a ponytail. His eyelashes are long and I get the impression that he has delicate features. He's not much bigger than Adolfo. Actually, he may even be as strong as Adolfo. However, I don't feel any dignity that I felt from Adolfo. He is giving off more of a disgusting feeling. Well, at this LV I would have been okay without taking so many safety precautions. I don't have much to worry about, but what kind of evil plague dragon is this? The man narrowed his eyes as a cold glint could be seen from them while a radiant smile floated on his face. In the sword hand of the man, a little power accumulates. Not good. This guy's just itching to fight. Perhaps he just doesn't want to talk. No, actually it's more like he's uninterested and just wants to get it out of his system. Those eyes of his are the eyes of a hunter looking at its prey. It also seems that Adolfo is struggling to stay quiet. Him riding on that winged horse makes it more troubling. Hey, Irussia. Put the sword down. If you're not going to cooperate, step back and leave it to me. Ignoring Adolfo's voice, he raises his sword towards the sky. I raise both hands and prepare for the attack. When I tried to find out what kind of attack was going to be used by following the movement of his eyes, our eyes met at point-blank range. Well, why does a monster have the same name as myself? Normally I would feel bad. The man says so, and the lifted sword is swung straight down. The content of that statement was worrisome, but there's no time to think about that now. It's a simple attack, but fast. The sword is fused with magic and it shines slightly. I angle my right arm to break the man's position and decide to fight back with my left arm. Anyhow, the objective right now is to swat down that horse. If he loses his horse, then he might back down. The moment I was readying my arm, I felt a strong heat on my skin before the sword hit. It is more powerful than it looks. My arm will be damaged if I take that with no protection. I changed my plan, kicked the ground, and tried to get away from the man. Heavens drop! When the man swung his sword, the light that covered his sword stretched. The extended light is coming toward my left shoulder. Fust. It doesn't seem like I can avoid it. I cover my shoulder with the left wing and try to defend it. Goo! When the light touched my wing, intense heat ran into my body all at once. It was blown to the right from the power of the impact, and the world turned upside down as my shoulder was slammed into the ground. I roll across the ground, scattering sand. I was flung nearly 20 meters and was stopped by the friction with the ground. My shoulder is sore. The scales on my shoulder were peeled off from rubbing against the ground and blood was flowing out of the wound, but it strangely hurt more where the light connected with my shoulder. When I tried to raise my voice in pain, I heard a loud roar in my ears. My consciousness, which was unclear, is pulled back by the roar. I was losing my mind. What did you do just now? While I crawl over the sand, I look towards the spot I heard the explosions earlier. A big crater is in the ground. Is that the blow that slammed me to the ground? It was good that I played it well. If I hadn't received it decently, the situation could have been much more serious. Mr. Dragon! Nina yells. Nina tried to come over here and stood up. It was clear that standing up was her limit. Due to the curse, she was trembling. Nina's knees jerked and shook and she fell forward into the sea. Sea water splashed and she let out a groan, but she still tried to stand up. Don't be reckless, please, it doesn't look like you're doing well. My body doesn't move well. My HP was considerably damaged just now too. Hey! I told you to stop, Irussia. I don't want to, and what are you talking about, mister? Adolfo? I helped you with a dangerous situation. My body feels heavy. My head is not turning well. I try to use rest, but it doesn't recover nearly enough. My magic might be considerably high, but it might not be suitable enough for a quick recovery. If I don't practice more, it's not likely to be much help when I need it. I somehow lifted an eyes and put the man in sight. The man was watching Adolfo with a smile and laughing. He's not even paying attention to me anymore.